This is our weekly reset. This is where we come together once a week to make sure that the next week is going to be even better than the week that we're living. And it's really interesting because as each week goes by with a weekly reset, each week gets better. Each week gets better because we become more conscious and more focused, don't we? More focused on what's real and what's important and on who we are as creators of our reality. And we are creators of our reality, aren't we? Like there's nobody else doing this. It's just us. So it's exciting, really exciting for me to be with you and to be able to guide you through some of these wonderful lessons. Today, we're going to talk about the power of your intuition. And I think that's probably been pretty much misunderstood because people think that instinct and intuition are the same thing. And we'll talk a little bit about that and see that they're really not the same thing. Intuition is this powerful spiritual oneness with the universe. And in order to get there, you have to know that we're more than our bodies and more than our brains. And I think that if you're watching this, you've already come to that place. You know that you're more than your body and your brain. You're simply more than those physical things. And the question is this: if I'm not my body and not my brain, then what the heck am I? And is that whatever it is detectable? Or is that something that I might know after I leave this planet, but I can't know until then? Is it beyond my reach? Maybe just even fantasy or just imagination. A lot of people think that, well, when I die, I'm going to be dead. That's it. That's the end of everything. When I'm gone, I'm gone. And they're pretty sure they're right. So they're thinking that that's just fantasy, just imagination, to think that you're a present in a greater sense than just in this body and brain. And if there's another me, then they're asking, why haven't I realized it? Why hasn't it made itself known to me? Well, that's a good question for our intuition, isn't it? Steve Jobs said intuition's a real powerful thing, more powerful than intellect, in my opinion. Now, Steve Jobs was a guy that had a pretty powerful intellect. He invented Apple. I mean, he's a pretty smart dude. And he's saying that intuition is more powerful than his intellect. Intellect is a power only available to those of us who are willing to be our true selves, who are willing to be the beingness of love, which is who our true selves are. And I'm going to name love several times in this talk. And love is a four-letter word. And four-letter words are just words. It's just a word. That's a sound you make or some things you put on a piece of paper. Has no meaning at all, other than the meaning you give it when you read or hear the word. But today I'd like for you to give it a different meaning. It's not that romantic, gushy, touchy-feely, wonderful, beautiful feeling that we have with each other. It's more than that, way, way, way more than that. That feeling that we have with each other is the result of true love. It isn't true love. The result of true love. True love is the very power, the very motion of the universe, the motion of the ocean. Everything that moves, everything that has a being, that beingness is empowered by an energy. And all energy travels in frequencies, and all frequencies have intelligence. All energy travels in frequencies, and all frequencies have intelligence. That means that the energy of the universe is intelligent. Well, what's the name of that? Once again, people have words. They say God. Well, God is dog spelled backwards. That's just a word. by itself, it doesn't mean anything. In the Hindu religion, they have millions of gods. And the Greeks had a bunch of gods. Gods just doesn't mean anything. But there's a great presence that not only are you a part of, but that you are. You are that power. You are love. So intuition is the power only available to those of us who are being our true self, who are being love. And so if you want to have your intuition expand, then you need to expand love in your life. It's as easy as that. And somebody might say, well, I know somebody who has great intuition, but they're not loving. They're not a loving person, but they have really great intuition. No, they don't. They have great instincts. But instincts and intuition aren't the same thing. Instincts are what we inherited from millions of years of ancestors. And way back then, they were in survival all the time. And so those instincts tell us when there's danger, when something's not right. And we need to pay attention to our instincts. They're really valuable to us. Intuition is very different than that. Intuition could be called natural knowing. Natural knowing. Just knowing without knowing how you know. Knowing without knowing how you know. And you've done that a lot of times. You've probably talked to somebody, a friend who was in trouble, who needed to hear something, and you said something to them that changed their lives or that got them out of that jam, and you didn't even know you were saying it. I can't tell you how many people come to me over the years and say, boy, what you said changed my life. And then they tell me what I said. I don't remember saying that. I was what they call channeling it. It wasn't coming from me, it was coming through me. That vast presence that I was talking about earlier, that vast intelligent energy is wisdom, is all wisdom, all the wisdom of all time. And that wisdom is in you. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to, you don't, it's in you all the time. And that wisdom that's flowing through the universe, it has an energy, and all energy has motion. So that flows into you and flows, and it can only flow into you to the degree that it flows out of you, right? I mean, you can't flow into anything very long until it's full, and then that's it. Then it just stagnates. Fresh energy, fresh wisdom must be flowing through you. Lael Jackson's with us today. She wrote a great book that flowed through her, not from her. When you write a book, when you give a talk, when you call someone on the phone just to say hi and express your love, when you write your journal or your diary, when you make breakfast, when you plant flowers, when you wash dishes, you can be expressing love. You can be expressing that which flows through you. Imagine, and I said washing dishes. Somebody's going, well, I don't get a lot of love on washing dishes. I can understand that. So now here's a little scenario. So here you are in pure spirit form. You're like you are like a wave on the great ocean of what is, of that great intelligent energy. That's the ocean. That's the eternal constant that goes on forever in all space and all time. And you've decided that you're going to incarnate. You are the ocean. And you decided to incarnate into a being. So you push up a wave. That wave's still the ocean, but you push up a wave. Now that wave is unique and individual. And I can tell you as a sea captain, having traveled probably hundreds of thousands of miles on the open ocean, I have never seen two waves alike. Now, I didn't know that when I was out there, but I know it now. Because no two waves are alike. Every wave is different. So now you've risen up out of the ocean as a wave. Now you're unique and different from all of the other waves, but you're still the ocean. Yeah, nothing's changed. So you're still the ocean. So the energy that's moving through you is the light that's shining through you. And as a wave, before, when you were part of the ocean, there was no expression. You weren't express. The ocean is not expressing. It only expresses when it has waves and currents in the motion. Just a still pond has no expression. It's not expressing. It has to be motion. And when that motion is moving, then it's expressing. And that wave rises up. Then it's got multiple facets all over it that are capturing light and dark and different colors. And then it's expressing. It's expressing and it's experiencing. And it's pouring that expression and experience back into the ocean. When I'm diving as a diver under the ocean, if it's a flat day and the ocean's just flat, it'd be good. And it's in real clear water, you got pretty good visibility. When it's really choppy and there's a lot of waves, you got great visibility. Why? Because the prism, the surface just expanded to pick up more light. So the ocean's experiencing more light. So when you're experiencing and expressing as the one that you came here to be, oh man, then there's this incredible power going on that you're a part of. And at that point, you are one with the wisdom of the universe. And that could be called intuition. It's another name for that great wisdom. And it's flowing through you to the degree that it flows out of you. So I guess what I'm saying is that it's important for us to be in service. It's important for us to go to the food bank and volunteer some time. It's important for us to maybe somebody's got a sign on the corner, anything helps, and they're wearing their ragged clothes. It's important for you to stop for a minute and just talk to them. No one talks to them because they're lesser beings. And they hurt for that. And I've talked to those people and they've said, if somebody driving by even just waves and smiles, it's heartfelt. But we want to ignore them. And if you give them a buck, I came out of a grocery store and I walked by a lady. She had a sign. Um, uh, I have children. I need help. Whatever. I just walked over and got in my car and said, put the keys in the ignition. And I thought, what are you doing? But my judgment is she's probably making more money a day than I am out there panhandling. And she could get a job. And I mean, all this stuff's going on. All my excuses of being better or different or superior. So I got $5 out of my wallet, went back over to her and said, here, have a good day. And I started to walk away and she said, wait, don't leave, don't leave. And I said, what? She said, she reached down and she got a rose. She handed me a rose. She said, take this to your wife with my blessings. And that rose lasted for a long, long time. See, we're part of the universe. We're part of the ocean. And so is she. She's a wave that rose up. And she's different. She's doing things different. She's finding her light in a different way. But when I gave her that $5 for God's sakes, She gave me a rose that was worth way more than $5. And she gave me something more. She gave me herself, and I gave her myself. We connected. We became part of the ocean together. That's intuition. That's when your intuition opens. That's when we become real. That's when we become real. So we're born with intuitions. It comes in the same package. We're aware on that level of all that ever was or ever will be. We're one with the pure divine wisdom that we see here on this plane as nature. See, that's the interesting thing about nature. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That's part of the ocean. It's part of the great ocean is nature. The grasses and the wind and the rain and the snow. It's all a part of nature, and that nature is the ocean. You go up to a tree, and I just keep talking about trees because I just am a tree lover. And you look at a tree and you look at the bark of the tree, and you stand there for a minute and just look at that bark and how it is. And you look up into the tower of the tree. Oh God, trees are just amazing. And if you can spend time with the tree, you can begin to feel its presence. You feel the energy and the presence of the ocean coming through the tree, coming through a plant, coming with the wind, coming with the sunshine. When I spent so many years at sea, when I look at a video of the sea, I'm just captive. I'm just pulled away. Last year, I think it was in October, Mary said, "It's time for you to go to sea." Because I was kind of losing it. I got on a boat and went out to sea, and I sat right on the gunwale and I just watched the water, looked into the water, watched those waves, and I just felt healed. Oh, I just felt healed. I was only out for about 12 hours, but oh, I came back, I was reborn. So that's what nature does. Now, if that's the ocean for me, it's also the forest for me. It's also trees for me. I don't know what it is for you, but you got to go there, wherever it is. You got to go there. I lived in San Francisco when I was a professional singer, and 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 I'd been in the city, just in the city all the time, in the city, in the city for 3 or 4 years, 4 or 5 years. And a friend of mine said, "Let's go over to a place called Muir Woods." And I said, "Well, what's Muir Woods?" And he said, "Oh, come on, we'll go over there." So I got in his car and we drove over there. And when I walked into those woods, like there's big redwood trees, I walked into those woods, something inside of me just went, "Whoa, I'm home." I mean, it just was a feeling. And he walked on away from me. And there was a little stream, and I sat down by the stream and looked down closely. And there were little tiny trout in the stream. And I broke breadcrumbs off of my sandwich and dropped them in. Those little trout were gathering around there. And I looked up across from me. There was a little bit of kind of a meadow, and then the hills went up, and the trees were all standing there. And as I looked into those trees, now I know this sounds goofy. I apologize for that, but I tell you, I'm being naked in front of you. I'm being me. This is real. And I'm not some goofy, you know, pothead. I'm telling you what really happened. The trees said, "Where in the hell have you been?" I said, "I've been gone. I'm so sorry. I'm back." And I could feel their presence inside of me. I was healed. When I went back and I started singing again, I wasn't singing the same. I wasn't being the same. I was back being my wave. I was back being who I was. And I was back flowing with intuition. Intuition is natural knowing, isn't it? That's another name. Natural knowing. Intuition is knowing without knowing how you know. Gail or Giselle Bundchen, who's a quite famous model, fashion model, Brazilian, gorgeous lady. You would not expect anything much very deep from a fashion model, right? Because we put them all in a box. We say those waves are different than us. That's part of our nonsense. She said, the more you trust your intuition, the more empowered you become, the stronger you become, and the happier you become. Imagine with me for a minute that we got a new car, brand new car. God, it's got all these different gadgets and it's just such fun. The heated seat belts and heated seats and everything you could imagine. And there's some features that we never even realized are there. One of them, for instance, might be fog lights. So we don't know we have fog lights. And so we never use them. And when we drive in places where there's thick fog or smoke or whatever, we're driving partially blind because we don't know those fog lights are there. Intuition is like those fog lights. Many of us are driving through the fog in life because we don't know that we have an insight, a deep insight, a deep natural knowing. Guess we should have read the owner's manual. Now, how do I learn to access my intuition, to expand it? Learn to trust that deepest wisdom, my natural knowing, and to let it guide me through my fogs of doubt or confusion. You know, women seem to have an easier time with intuition than men. And I think that's because they're less competitive. Guys, our sense of competition can keep us pretty well anchored in our egos. And intuition cannot filter itself into consciousness through ego. It just can't. We can choose to either have a self-identity of importance, or we can choose to have a self-identity of value. Pretty hard to have both. And living a life of service, giving ourselves to more needy or higher causes and asking nothing in return is the egoless consciousness from which intuition springs naturally. And when I say asking for nothing in return, I don't mean we get nothing in return. We get plenty because then we're flowing with the universe. And then, like the stars and the trees and all of the rest of the things, like I've got a peach tree that's just filled with blossoms right now. I didn't put those blossoms there. It's nature. It's the great ocean. It's great spirit. The Native American word, great spirit. It's the great spirit that moves in all things. And that's flowing into you through you as long as you're flowing with the universe, which means flowing with love. Then you get whatever you need. And if you ask for something beyond what you need, but something you want, you'll get that too. If you have faith, maybe just the size of a mustard seed. But you can't try. You got to do it. You don't get to good intuition by trying. You got to just do it. Just be you. Be naked in the world. Let the true self of you come out. Author of A Wrinkle in Time, Madame, I'm sorry, Madeleine Ellingal said, don't try to comprehend with your mind. Your minds are very limited. Use your intuition. And here's the beautiful thing. Most of us are already unconsciously using our intuition all the time because our brain minds access that intuitive wisdom to help with the decisions all the time. And much of our lives, that's all we need. But there are times when the fog rolls in and we really need our natural knowing to be more power than our intellects. And then we must intuit at will. So our intuition is our soul's compass out of the fog. It's our soul's compass. Our intuition is our soul's compass out of the fog. But those times when we've been living in self-importance, we're going to have a hard time seeing that compass. So now you see that intuition is our eternal spiritual window to eternal wisdom. So I know that you probably are a little tired of me preaching about meditation. And I'm sorry that I do, but I just want to encourage you. I mean, we can't get from here to there without leaving here. You can't get into the higher consciousness without leaving the lower consciousness. You can't do both at the same time. And so I ask you to meditate even 5 minutes a day. And if you have a hard time meditating, I understand. In the beginning, I had a hard time meditating too. But if you try and you try and you try and it just isn't working for you, and I ask you then to stop trying. Just stop trying and just do. Just close your eyes and pay attention to your breath. If nothing else, just pay attention to your breath. And these thoughts are going to come in. These thoughts are going to come in. And when they do, what happens is you become disgusted with yourself. And when you become disgusted with yourself, you stop meditating. But if the thought comes in and you say, hello, thought, and you just let it do what it does and go away and just go back to meditation, even if it's only for 10 seconds, go back to meditation. Doesn't matter. Some of the most masterful meditators on the planet cannot keep their minds clear of a thought for 30 seconds. Did you know that? Even for 30 seconds, they can't keep their mind clear of a thought. But they don't fight the thought. They let it just be like a cloud blowing across their sky. Yeah, there's a thought. Okay, well, how about I'm going to get some bananas later now? Let's back to my meditation. Just, just be okay with that. And you say, well, I tried to meditate. I meditated for 5 minutes, but probably 4 minutes of it was nonsense. So I just failed. When you were learning to walk, when you were a toddler, according to scientific research, when you were a toddler learning to walk, you fell 17 times an hour, but you always got right back up. Now you can dance. See, if you could never have gotten where you are right now, if you'd given up, don't give up on meditation. It's the pathway to higher consciousness. If you only, I do, I have, you can go on YouTube and find it. Bob Trask's 5 minute weekly, 5 minute weekly meditation. Just, I'm going to do one today for this next week. Just go on, find that meditation and just close your eyes and just sit there and listen to me for 5 minutes. Here's the interesting thing for you to know is that I go there. I'm Bob Trask. I did the meditation. I go there and turn it on, close my eyes, and he takes me away. What a surprise that was to me. Our intuition's like a muscle. We have to practice listening to it and trusting its wisdom. You take the time to ask and keep listening for the answer. Being at peace comes easy then. Those are the words of author and coach and speaker Lisa Prosen. I want you to open the doors to your true life. And if you're with me today, you're already way, way, way ahead of the mob. You're already doing it. But there isn't an end to this journey. Wherever you are, let's move on. I'm going to finish with this today. Author of the book of Qualities, Ruther Gendler, said this about her house. When intuition moved in, she washed all the windows, cleaned out the fireplace, planted fruit trees, lit purple candles. She doesn't cook much. She eats beautiful foods, artichokes, avocados, persimmons, pomegranates, wild rice with wild mushrooms, chrysanthemum tea. She doesn't have many possessions. Each thing is special. Wish you could see the way she arranged her treasures on the fireplace mantel. She's got a splendid collection of cups and bowls and baskets. Well, the herbs are still in alphabetical order, and I can't complain about how the house looks. Since intuition moved in, my life has been turned inside out. My dear heart, I want you to let intuition move in today and turn your heart inside out. I love you. So if you're leaving us now, thank you for being with me. Please stop by my website, bobtrask.com, and leave a donation so I can keep doing my work in the world and keep expanding these weekly resets. And I appreciate it so very much. And if you can stay with us for the next half hour, we're going to have a conversation. But if you have to